got questions rolling like a big John Deere, digging deep with modders so their voices we can hear. From giants of the code to the artists painting skies, he's shining up their stories like a brand new combine. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. From tractors to textures, from silos to sounds, there's a whole crew of heroes making this world go round. So tune in and find out who's behind the screen. Farm Sim Talk's the place to see what farming really means. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Big Day Dave, and this is Farm Sim Talk, a show where we get to talk to other creators here within the Farm Sim community and get to know a little bit more about them. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day so far. I am joined here tonight by Cole Farms. Cole, how are you doing tonight? Oh,
I'm
Cole,
doing good. How about you?
Oh,
Yep, I'm here. Sorry.
doing fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. So I see a bunch of you out there already. Big shout outs to Jody. We got Brady Rimmer. We got AF Farms, Gaming with JJ. Thank you all so much for coming out here tonight and hanging out with us. We got Farmer Donkey out there as well. Thank you all so much again. So before we get into the actual questions, let's go ahead and kind of get some introductions down here. So first off, you want to tell everybody where we can find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on YouTube at Cole Farms, and then also my Facebook, it's Cole Farms as well on there. So feel free to go follow. And on my YouTube, I post farm sim content related only. And then on Facebook, I give, behind the scenes of what I'm doing on, within the farm sim community and sneak peeks of upcoming videos and or live streams that I'm going to be putting out. So if you guys want to go follow, feel free to.
Excellent. Both of those are linked in the description, so go ahead and check out Cole Farms today. So, do you want to give any shout outs before we get going?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. A big one to me will be Midwest Ag. If it wasn't for him, I would not know how to do the things that I do within the farm sim community. He's been a very big help with, within my channel on building it and, just showing me certain things that I didn't know, 3-4 years ago. Also, I got a couple of other buddies, AF Farms. I've done content with him. I'm still working with him to help him build his channel as well. I got my other buddies, that I've done previous content with, Johnny Gelato and Midland Man, and also Randy Bobandy, all on YouTube. They do a different niche of YouTube. They do 5M content related stuff. So those would probably be the biggest people that have kept me motivated, along with my fiance and my 1-year-old son. So without them guys, I wouldn't know what to do, and I wouldn't be here today to be able to do this with you and bringing content to everybody else that enjoys it.
That's fantastic. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are within the Farm Sim community.
Well, I'm I'm 29. For starters, I do again. I just do just content creation only within Farm Sim. I don't do any modding. I've had people reach out and ask me to do modding, but I just don't really feel like I'd be good at it, and I don't want to do the modding aspect of things. And that's pretty much all I do within the Farm Sim realm of things is just content creation only.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right, so let's go ahead and move into our first segment called Digging Up Dirt. This is where we're going to get to know who you are outside the world of Farming Simulator. So, first question I have is Farming Simulator your primary job, or is it a kind of a side gig?
No, it's more of a side gig. It's a hobby that I like doing. Um, I have a 9 to 5 day-to-day job. I'm an assistant manager for O'Reilly, here in my hometown where I live at.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what kind of responsibilities do you have there at O'Reilly?
Well, assistant manager, I got to make sure on the weekends, make sure the store's open on time, checking in the trucks, making sure returns are done, making sure, everybody that is there, all the other employees are doing the job that they need to do, stocking shelves, taking care of the customers, cleaning, making sure that their drawers are counted properly and all the money that we brought in throughout the day is accounted for and put away properly, and just making sure everything's good to go for the following day when we open the store back up.
Oh, wait, O'Reilly's. You're talking the auto
Yeah.
parts store.
Yes, the auto
Oh,
parts
okay,
store.
okay. I heard you say O'Reilly's, but it just didn't sink in until just 2 seconds ago.
That's all
so,
right.
so, what are some of your hobbies? Do you like to go hiking, fishing? Do you watch sports?
I'm a very big outdoors person. I enjoy hiking. I'm a big fisherman and a big hunter. I do that every summer. As far as fishing, I even go ice fishing in the winter. Uh, you know, during the fall. I'm a big deer hunter. I love it, and you can't take me away from that. I don't care what I do in life. I'm always going to be a big outdoors person. I still keep in touch with sports. I don't watch it like I used to. I think probably the only, I guess, sport as you can call it that I watch is NASCAR, and that's because when my grandfather was alive, he got me into that, and I started watching it with him, and it's just become a big part of my life to where I became a very, very dedicated and big NASCAR fan. I've went to 7 different races within the last 10 years, and if anybody likes NASCAR and you've never been to an actual race, go to it. They are very fun, and prepare for it to be very, very loud.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You figure you get 40 plus vehicles running around at 200 plus miles an hour. It's going to get to be a little crazy.
Oh yeah.
Who's your driver?
Well, he doesn't drive anymore, but I'm a big Earnhardt fan of both senior and junior. I have a couple of others. When any other driver, I can't.
B- b- Out there, are they all Chevys?
Yes, yeah, they're all drivers and they all drive motorsports.
Just coincident.
I drive runs and gets me to A to B.
That's a good way to. So you said you're big into fishing.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Crappie and walleye.
So the pike, do you go for to actually eat, or are you just looking to have?
But
Actually did a flying fishing trip, and we ended up catching a big pike, and we ended up fire roasting it. Because we're out in the middle of nowhere, and they actually fly you into like the middle of nowhere. kind of thing. So we just, started up the fire pit and just threw it on there, and it was good eating. It was real good eating. But those bones though were a nuisance.
Yeah, they definitely put up a fight. I'll say that much. I mean, they have a lot of energy. So if
Yeah.
anybody goes northern pike fishing, prepare to. They are going to put your money where your mouth is, type thing. They will fight you until they can't fight you no more.
And what's wild is every time you get them right up by the boat, that's when they find that extra burst of energy. They start to
And
see
then
the
they
boat
take
and
back off.
boom.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's I forget how long I was fighting that one we ended up catching, but it was a good solid like 20 plus minute, just sitting there reeling them in, and then all of a sudden just take right back off of the line. It's like, oh, come on now.
Yep.
Ay, ay, ay.
Oh
But
yeah. Full of energy.
tons. So you like to go hiking? Whereabouts do you like to go?
Uh, Around where I live at, on my bucket list. I've never been to it, but I do want to go visit and hike around Yellowstone. I think that'd be a pretty cool area to go to and be able to visit and and see what all the hype's about. I've seen pictures. I've heard of people going there, and they said it's a very beautiful place. But I have a there's a state forest here where I live at that I've been to a few times that I went hiking at, and just very beautiful around here. And if anybody is wondering, I'll give you the state that I live in. I live in Indiana, so there's actually a couple of national parks, I believe, here in Indiana that I've been to.
So not too far away from you is the state of Michigan. You're right next door to it. Up there in the Upper
Yep.
Peninsula, there's a beautiful area up in the Porcupine Mountains. It's on the western portion of the Upper Peninsula there, just south of like Houghton area, called Lake of the Clouds. And this is kind of a general PSA for anybody out there who's looking for gorgeous, middle of nowhere country, hiking trails, the whole 9 yards. Check out, I mean, go ahead and Google it. It's called Lake of the Clouds in Michigan, and it is gorgeous. And they have a hiking trail that you just kind of go around the mountainside there, and it's about 8 to 10 miles. Um, and you make your way down the mountainside, and then you come back out where the lake is. So Lake of the Clouds, the reason it's called Lake of the Clouds is it's actually kind of built into the mountainside, and it's in this giant ravine, and it's just surrounded by the mountains on any direction. And you actually approach it, if I remember right, from the southern side of it, and you look down into that area. It is absolutely gorgeous. Highly recommend it to anybody.
I'll have to check it out one of these days.
Absolutely. I've gone a few times, and it was one of those where it's a rough hike. Like I said, it's about 8 to 10 miles, and it's like through the mountainside, and if you're not paying attention or whatnot, you've got cliff on one side and mountain on the other. So it's one of those that could end very badly. So it's be careful if you're going to take it, but it's absolutely gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And then once you get down there, it kind of opens up into the lake. It dumps you right at the lake. Hardly anybody goes down there because, how many people are going to go down there to walk 10 miles to come back up the mountainside another 10 miles kind of thing. Not too many
Yeah.
people. So
Oh no, I'd be one of them people.
do you like to read books or watch movies?
I'm not a very big book reader. I used to be. When my mother was alive, she'd suggest a book that she's read, so I'd read it. But I'm a big TV and movie watcher. I enjoy watching movies and a lot of TV. That's actually during my break the last couple of weeks. I'd say 3 weeks to a month. That's what I've been doing, other than hanging out with family, is just watching TV, relaxing, watching movies with my family and everything.
What kind of TV shows are you into?
Uh, More of, stuff that kind of portrays like IRL, I just got through watching Chicago Fire. I'm actually in the process of watching Yellowstone. Never watched it before, so I decided to go and start watching it. I've watched every NCIS that's came out from the beginning, well, from the original to the newest one. Um, let's see, anything that that portrays IRL, a lot of action series, TV shows and or movies I like watching. I'm not much of a person that likes to watch movies just because Hollywood puts it out there, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes total sense. I'm the same exact way. I've actually quite fallen out of the whole movie and TV scene here lately. It's one of those where uh, really haven't kind of found my niche nowadays. So one of
Yeah.
those where I just kind of let it go on by me and I just keep on to my classics. But what kind of
Yep.
movies do you like to watch?
I've watched every Fast and the Furious movie from the beginning to the latest one, and they're actually dropping a newest one. Vin Diesel actually announced it, I think, a couple of weeks ago that the Hollywood asked him to, make the final one, and he had he had three things that he wanted to bring back, and just to keep it there, and that is it being about street racing and cars. Bring back, have Paul Walker's twin brother come in and bring back Brian O'Connor for one last time, and to just stick to that. But I've watched all the Michael Myers movies. My fiance has had me watch. I probably know a lot of people are going to say this is cringe, but I've watched every Twilight movie with her, and I never used to be a type of person that would watch those. But if you're into like werewolves and vampires, it's not as bad as what people made it to be. Because that's how I looked at it. But I watched all those. I watch a lot of action movies. Um, let's see, I've watched every like what's the movie called? I don't know if anybody's ever seen like White House Down or Olympus Has Fallen and all that, but I've watched all types of movies to do with that stuff. Just anything really action related. I'm not much of a and I like watching a lot of history movies too. I'm a big history buff. So if it comes down to history and you have a movie that you want me to watch and or a TV show, send it my way and I'll watch it.
I gotcha. What do you have like a specific period of history that you care for, or just pretty much anything?
Just pretty much anything. I've studied from, you know, everything before the US to when the US was founded all the way up until this point. Um some stuff might be a little foggy in my memory, but I still, enjoy it. I've also dabbled in, like like how other countries were founded and how their history was made and everything like that too. So just anything to do with history I enjoy.
Gotcha. So really, it's not like just limited to like U.S. history. It's like global
Mm-mm.
history. You're like
Yep.
truly into history.
Yep. Very, very big history person.
So do you care for like the old war movies or uh
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
okay like a
I've
Band of Brothers or Saving Private Ryan, things like that?
You can never go wrong with those.
No,
Ever.
those are great
Ever.
movies.
Yes. I will agree with that. You can never go wrong with those.
Yeah, I
Or even
remember.
there's one, I think it was like the Hurt Locker or whatever. That
Hmm.
was also that's another good military movie right there as well.
Yeah, I remember when Band of Brothers came out. I remember my history right. I was working at uh, like an old video rental store at the time, and I remember that like series came out, and it was one of the very first ones that we got that was like a multi-disc track kind of thing, and people
Mhm.
were it like flew off the shelves. But our specific store, we didn't rent it out as a kind of collection. We rented it out as the individual discs. So you would have people like fighting over, oh, I need disc 4. I just watched disc 3. So it was nuts. It was basically like a blockbuster, but it was like itty bitty small town kind of version of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's my jam as well. Do you have like a favorite movie or anything like that?
Oh boy, there's so many. Um, my number one favorite movie that I've watched repeatedly is probably Olympus Has Fallen. It stars Gerard Butler in it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and loved it, man. Like I could, if I could watch that movie all day long, and that was it, I could like rinse and repeat all day long because I may have watched it one time and not seen something, and then all of a sudden I watch it again, and then I catch something that I didn't catch before. So, but yeah, that'd probably have to be one of my favorite movies of all time, right there. And or again, Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan. I've watched that movie countless times. I mean, me and my cousin used to be able to memorize, like, we used to have almost every line memorized in that movie when we were
Oh,
younger, is how much we watched it.
it was again a great movie, absolutely great
Oh, yeah.
movie. It's wild in how they were able to capture that level of detail in so many different scenes. And like, for anybody out there who have not seen Saving Private Ryan, like, go check it out. It's a classic, but be forewarned, it gets a bit gory. So just be warned. If you got a weak
Yeah.
constitution, it might not be for you. But oh yeah, no, that's great movies, great bunch of great ones. Now it's actually funny. Gerard Butler, I think he's probably, in my opinion, one of the kind of sleeper actors that are out there. Like, he's one of those, like, you don't see him in a ton of stuff, but when you do, man, does he kill it. He
Yeah.
he made, or he didn't make, but he was in one movie that when I watched it, I just became a father. Like, I was maybe only 3 4 months into it. And no, it was probably closer, like two three, because it was right before my wife had gone back from maternity. And we were sitting there watching this movie. It was called Greenland. You ever heard of that one?
Yes. Oh, yeah, dude. I loved it.
That movie tore me up. Being fresh new father and all that stuff, and sitting there. For those who haven't seen it, spoiler alerts. It's a movie about the end of the world. And Gerard Butler is basically, him, his wife, and his uh, son. The son had some kind of disability or some kind of like medical condition,
He,
and
I think it was he needed oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think he was like
And
diabetic
he
or
had a
something.
yes, yeah, so he needed insulin is what he needed.
So Gerard Butler was like an architect, and they were basically trying to get all the most sought after people in their fields who could basically be saved from the apocalypse and be brought into like a bunker with their families and all this stuff. But they basically put a limit as to the people who could go into these bunkers, kind of thing. And basically anybody who had like a disability or anything like that did not qualify. And because his son was diabetic, his son couldn't get into the bunker. He could, his wife could, but the son couldn't. So it was one of those, like, trying to survive the apocalypse when you refuse to go into the bunkers kind of thing. So trying to, yeah, it tore me up. And then it was going into like the whole meta of, how people will act during the end times and all that. It was nuts. Great movie for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Yes.
So what would you say is some of the oddest or weirdest movies or television shows you've seen?
Um, oh, I don't know, like that's probably the most oddest movies. I'll stick to a movie. It would probably have to be two of them. The Scream series movies. I found them more comical than like horror related because they were just stupid. If I'm gonna be honest, like they were just plain out stupid. They were funny. Like I laughed, but and then also would have to be, oh, what's the other one? Oh, it was on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it now, but I definitely have to say the Scream movies. They were just and the Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger. More funny than anything to me, really. I mean, I don't. I just kind of just would sit there and watch it and I'd be like, "What the heck?" Like, this makes absolutely no sense. And just the way Hollywood have a lot of things portrayed, I'm just like, why would you run 2 miles an hour away from somebody that's wielding a knife at you? And like, if that was me and somebody I didn't know was running at me with a knife that was dressed that way, I'd be gone. Like, it's yeah, like, I mean, but also I'm the type of person, that well, now being a father, as I know a lot of my followers know that I'm still new to being a parent. I have a 1-year old. He's actually a year and a half old. But if this was Cole, before I'd say like late teens, like early 20s. If I was younger, I probably would have ran. But if I was more, of the age, like early 20s, late 20s, like I am now, I'd probably just, um, I wouldn't run. I'd be like, all right, well, you want to come out with a knife? Like, let's go and do this because either I'm going to go down with you to stand up and survive because you're not going to come at me with something like that. So, but I laughed more at the movies than anything. I found them more comical.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. In my opinion, they were. I don't want to say they were bad, but the Scream movies, but they were so rife with comedy that they inspired four separate spin-off satire movies.
Believe it or not, I can't remember his name. I just seen a post of it actually like 30 minutes before we started this. And the guy that played Shaggy on the Scooby Doo movie?
Oh,
He
Matthew
was
Lillard.
Yeah, they're actually coming out with another Scream, and I guess he's the one that's going to portray Scream in it. So I'm hoping it'll be a little bit better than what it was back then. But again, I don't hold Hollywood to very high standards anymore.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's funny, Matthew Lillard. He's one of my favorite, like, complete sleeper actors. Like, he is
Hmm.
in so many good movies that most people haven't heard of. Like 13 Ghosts, that was a pretty good movie with him in it. And it's funny that you mentioned
Yeah,
Scooby Doo because when he took that role, he took that so serious that in order to try and nail the voice of Shaggy, he would sit there and scream at the top of his voice for hours in his dressing room. He drove the other actors and actresses nuts because he would sit there and just be screaming at the top of his lungs so he could get that raspy kind of hoarse voice. But that's
yeah,
how
yeah.
like committed he was.
It's crazy, like how like so many good actors, what they go through just to portray, a character within a movie. I mean, like you got Matthew Lillard, you got again Gerard Butler, like very like sleeper actors. Morgan Freeman, I know he's been in a lot of movies, but a lot like and he's probably one of my top favorite actors is Morgan Freeman just because of even with his age, he still makes sure, that he puts when he's all in, he's all in.
Mm-hmm.
And if I see a movie with any of them guys in it, him, Adam Sandler, or any of the people that we've just been talking about, like they never disappoint. They can make one movie and then not make another movie for 5 to 6 years, and then all of a sudden make another movie, and it's still the same. Like they do not disappoint at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, once you establish that kind of quality, they keep that quality level where it needs to be. And it's funny
Oh
how
yeah,
even if they're not like the main character, they have enough energy with who they are and how they're portraying to be able to make the movie. It's very wild sometimes when you see that.
for sure. I 100% agree with you on that.
So I want to double back real quick to fishing real fast. So we established that you do a fair bit of freshwater fishing. Have you ever done any saltwater fishing?
Yes, actually, when I was younger, my she was dating a guy, and his parents lived down in Florida. And when I mean down in Florida, I mean like deep down Florida, where like all the farmland is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was I remember it vividly, but I was maybe said I want to say anywhere between the age of 6 and 9, and they wanted to go shark fishing. So
Oh.
we went shark fishing, and instead of instead of me catching a shark, I caught a dolphin by its fin.
Oh.
And but the crazy thing is this dolphin wasn't mad. It, I could definitely tell it was hurt, because it hurt me as a child, because I thought, that I was hurting this animal. And but the wildest thing happened is after we had I guess like the Fish and Wildlife people come down there, and they took the hook out of the dolphin, and this dolphin didn't leave until I walked out into the water up on the beach to where I could pet it. And then after I petted it, it done its little like squeak noise at me, and then it swam off. But that's the only saltwater fishing I've ever done, was trying to go shark fishing. At the age of anywhere between 6 and 9, I caught a dolphin instead.
Well, that's going to be one heck of a memory that I'm sure will stick with you the rest of your life.
Oh yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned shark fishing. The last time I went fishing was probably about maybe 2, 3 years ago, and my father and we were out on his boat, and we were out in the middle of the Gulf, and we weren't participating, but there was a shark fishing tournament that was going on. So you're hearing a lot of the boat chatter and stuff coming over the radio, and then all of a sudden, my dad and I were just sitting there, just kind of, with our poles in the water, and all of a sudden we hear an SOS come out from people that were in the tournament, and turns out that they were taking on water, and because they're in the tournament, for those who have never been shark fishing, one of the main components to shark fishing is to chum the waters. Yeah, so they're sinking. The waters are completely filled with chum. Thankfully, they had, if I remember the boat correctly, I think it was a Chris Craft, and the Chris Craft is built with a cord center. So it basically will just sit there and bob on the top of the water. It won't sink completely because it's actually got the like the styrofoam core
Hmm.
to it. So it'll go down, but it won't go like under, kind of thing. So they're able to kind of climb up on top of the boat and like just kind of wait for the sea tow to come around, kind of thing. But I would be just absolutely just terrified,
You ain't
terrified.
lying.
I mean, you're sitting there having a good old time, and then all of a sudden it's like, where is all this water coming from? This ain't good.
Somebody didn't put the plug back in.
Honestly, more than likely. And what's funny is that's actually happened to not to me personally, but on the boat that I was on, my cousin, he owned the boat, and he is one of the most forgetful people you'd ever meet. You mentioned that you're a hunter.
Hmm.
I do a fair bit myself, whitetail and whatnot. I haven't done it since moving down here to Florida because Florida is everything's puny down here. Being up there in Michigan and you being in Indiana, the deer up there, massive. They're huge. But down
Yeah.
here, they're absolutely puny. But this is the same person who forgot his rifle going hunting.
Oh man, that reminds me. I didn't do any deer hunting last year, because I had a lot going on, that year. Well, no, it was the year before that. I had a lot going on. I had multiple people, within my family pass away, and my son being born and everything like that. But a year or two, I think it was a year before that. I want to say maybe even 2 years before that. I went deer hunting one morning with my buddy. I drive 45 minutes away to go deer hunt with my buddy. And, it was like, I don't know, I want to say 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I get in the car, I get everything, grab my bow, I walk out, I get there. we get our spots, and I'm climbing up this tree with my climber, and I get my bow up there with me, and I'm thinking, something, it's not even daybreak yet. I'm harnessed in, I'm just gonna catch a few Z's, 20 feet up in a tree and everything like that. So I put my bow on a hanger. Well, I didn't realize that my hanger wasn't all the way into the tree. And I'm probably almost, I'd say maybe another 5 minutes. If that would have passed, I would have been dead asleep. And all of a sudden, my bow just falls out of the tree 20 feet down and lands on the ground. So, and my buddy watched it happen. He was probably a good 200 yards the opposite direction, so he could see me, I could see him, and he messaged me. He goes, "Please tell me that's not what I think it was." I was like, "Yeah, my bow just fell out of the tree." And this was right at daybreak. I can hear deer moving all around. So I had to stealthily climb 20 feet down this tree, tie my bow to my rope, and climb back up this tree and pull my bow back up before these deer started walking in front of me.
Oh man.
Like, it was so embarrassing, man. Like, and I learned right then and there that I'm just going to keep the bow on my lap and just tie a piece of rope around my bow to where if like my arm slips off or something like that, I only have a 6-inch piece of rope that my bow will fling on and it won't go anywhere. So I learned real fast to never trust a bow hanger in my life again.
Well, it's just more proof that we learn more from mistakes than we do with anything else.
Oh,
It's funny, the last time I went hunting would have been mm, I mean, it would have been before I moved down here to Florida. So it's been a while. It's been a long, long while. And I ended up taking a buddy of mine, and he'd never gone hunting before. He always, asked like, what's the appeal? Why do you want to go hunting and all this stuff? I was like, well, come with me. He's like, well, I don't have a license. I don't have a gun or all that stuff. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just come with me. We'll go out and we'll have fun. So he's like, okay, I'll join you. So he ends up coming out. We go all the way up to the Upper Peninsula, and we're out on the middle of state land somewhere. And one morning, it's before daybreak. We didn't have anything established because it's state land, so you're not allowed to build structures or anything like that. You're not allowed to have
mhm.
blinds and stuff. So we're sitting on the ground, and we've got our backs up against a giant oak tree, massive oak tree, but we're right on the ground. He brought with him a little folding shovel, and he ended up digging out the snow and stuff because it freshly snowed that morning. So he dug out all the snow, and we're just kind of sitting there and just doing our thing. And day breaks, and you're going through pretty much the entire morning. Don't hear or see nothing. We're right on top of this ridge, leading down into a cedar swamp. And it's like, this is gonna be the perfect spot where if the deer are running, this is where they're gonna be coming from, kind of thing. And all of a sudden we hear crunch, 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 and then it's more crunch, 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 but it's like all in succession. And it's like, wait a minute, like it almost sounded like a stampede kind of thing. And like, that's that's not good. Like it's not sounding like deer. Like it's like sounding like consistent like stepping kind of thing, but it's multiple of them at the same time. And I'm like, huh. Then all of a sudden we start hearing, and just all of a sudden chaos breaks loose. A giant pack of wolves were right on top of us, maybe about 20 or 30 feet behind us. And they're passing right by us. Now, mind you, I'm the only one with a rifle at that time. He brought one of those like military style folding shovels kind of thing, like I said, to dig out the trench. And I look over at him, he's looking over at me. We're sitting right next to each other, and he's holding this freaking shovel like a baseball bat, like he's getting ready to go to town. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, and my heart's going pitter patter, kind of thing. It's like, uh-oh, this might be bad. This might be really bad. We might have who knows how many, and we're just hearing them. And every time one would start to howl, the whole pack would go nuts, and all that stuff. And we're just sitting there and just, I hold up my finger, just be quiet, don't move, don't say anything, don't do anything. And all of a sudden they're getting quieter and they're going off in the distance. They pass right on by us. And it's like, okay, we can release release our spines for a little bit and just kind of take a breath at this point. And my father, who was there with us, but he was like maybe about a mile or so down from where we were, he actually saw them because they all came out from a clearing, and he said there was about probably a dozen or so in this pack. And it's like, ooh, well,
Yeah,
finally.
that's
Sorry, go ahead.
good. I would say they usually when they go together, it's usually anywhere between 8 to 12 of them at a time.
Yeah,
Them
so
wolves.
finally, enough time's passed where we feel comfortable to get up, and it's like, okay, this is enough adventure for today. I think we're just going to go back to camp, kind of thing. So, I tell them, okay, let's go, and we'll head out to the truck and, head back, kind of thing. So I'm walking out and I'm kind of taking the lead and, finding our markers and all that stuff leading back to the road. And I look at him and I kind of, give him a little elbow, and I'm like, hey, you okay? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm okay. It was a, bit of a rush. And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, when if push came to shove, you realize that I didn't have to outrun those wolves, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? And it's like, well, I'm the one with the rifle. I just need to outrun you. And he looks at me and his whole face just goes white and just completely like stoic at that point. And he's like, you wouldn't do that. It's like, no, of course not. I've only got 6, shots in the rifle, and there's a dozen of them. I mean, you do the math. So it was one of those. I was just giving him a good kind of ribbing at that point, and it's like, no, I wouldn't have done that. Calm down.
That's
uh,
funny.
so
That's funny.
let me ask you this: if content creation was no longer an option for you, let's say your computer blew up and you just didn't have the means to be able to bring it back online, or whatever the case may be, what would you do as an alternative?
Uh, spend time with family and fish
That's
all the time.
that is definitely a
All
good
the time.
alternative. Definitely a
Like,
good alternative. So has it been like a dream for you to be a content creator, or is it just something you kind of fell into?
I mean, half and half. I've always wanted to be a content creator, but then at the same time, it was just something that I more or less fell into. Like I gradually got into it. As we were talking earlier, I started out, just posting a bunch of different stuff, and then I found where I wanted to be on my channel, and I found a good group of people that I work with, and so I just done a complete 360, flipped the script, and I can say it's more of a goal, for me to be able to do this and have the people that'll back me up on it to be able to still continue to do this. But it was never really a dream, I mean, besides when I was younger, I was in my my early teens. I was like, oh, I want to be a big YouTuber someday. Well, sorry, younger Dylan and kids, but you got to work really, really hard to get to there. And it's definitely fun though. It's an adventure. It still is an adventure, and I learn new things every day. I meet people every day. I mean, as far as like Midwest Ag, I didn't know who he was until I came across a video of somebody's video of him in it, and which is Fearsome Rhino. And then I checked out Midwest channel, and I was like, this guy's got something going good for him. I reached out to him, and he brought me in, into his little content creation group, and I've known him probably, I'd say, about 2 years now. I've done a lot of videos with him, quite a few videos with him. So I mean, but yeah, I more or less just gradually fell into the content creation and YouTube realm.
And how long have you been doing content creation?
Well, actually, like getting into it, probably, well, let's see. Started out on FS19, so I'd say maybe like actually getting into it and putting time and effort into, from recording to editing to finding new people to record with and all this, I'd say probably about 3 to 4 years. But if we're talking as a whole, just even when I was just messing around, just uploading stuff to YouTube, probably about 8.
Oh wow, so you've been doing this for quite some time.
Yes, but I've just now in the last 3 to 4 years, I've taken it more serious than I ever did before.
I gotcha. And you mentioned that you started, doing the content creation back in FS19 days. Is that where you kind of started playing Farming Simulator, or is that just
Y-
when you decided to do content?
No, that's actually when I started both. That's when I started doing, more content, and that's when I started doing farm sim content was on FS19. I probably only played FS19 for maybe 3 weeks, and then I don't know if you've ever talked to Farmer Cop or not,
I have.
but uh, I I've watched his channel for a long time, and I was streaming one day, and like when I say I I always keep my head up and I never give up. I follow by that every day of my life. And there was one day I was streaming and I was like, something, this ain't going nowhere. And well, long behold, as I was about to end my stream, I get raided by Farmer Cop himself and like 90 people, maybe even more than that. It's been a while. And all of a sudden my chat's just overflowing with people, telling me to keep up the good work. They subscribed and they're enjoying the content that I'm bringing them. Then one of his subscribers that became my subscriber ended up adding me on Discord and he ended up buying me FS22 and
Wow.
the year and and a year DLC for it, like the year one pass. So I was, just this somebody that was on YouTube that just wanted just to play it, and I was about to give up. I get rated by, in my opinion, probably one of the biggest FS content creators out there. And somebody bought me FS22, and then that same night, I jumped off FS19, downloaded it, and I'd done like a first reaction slash impressions video of the game, and I really enjoyed it, and then I got completely off FS19, went straight to 22, started making content on that, and then fast forward a year or so, that's when I met Midwest Ag, started doing content with him. Again, he's helped me grow my channel to where I never even thought it would be. And then when they announced FS25, I pre-ordered it, and I was up 2.5 hours before the release of FS25, and so was he and another one of our buddies were, and it released, we downloaded it, we done a stream on it, and then we recorded a video the same day, and then I've been on FS25 since.
That's awesome. I mean, that's yeah. It sounds like you definitely got your bona fides with Farm Sim, so well established, and it sounds like being able to be rated by Farmer Comp of all people. I mean, that's pretty cool. Just full sentence stop, but then like it
Yeah.
just seemed like it was almost I guess for lack of a better word, almost divine intervention. Like the kind
Hmm.
of the struggle of the thought process of man like giving up or whatever the case may be, and then all of a sudden boom, that's the spark, that's the ignition you needed, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
like boom, just took off from there. That's amazing.
Yeah. I think that same night when I got rated, I ended up keeping my stream going for another 2.5, 3 hours, and had 90 or so more people within my live stream just sitting there hanging out, chatting with me, watching. And then, like, that was probably one of the biggest things as well that I seen that and it happened, and I was like, "You'll know something, like, this is a sign for me to keep going." And I've won giveaways from Farmer Cop's channel. I mean, he's a very wholesome guy. I haven't actually talked to him in, VC, but I've DM'd with him, especially, when my mother was battling cancer and then she passed away. Like, he'd every couple of days he'd check up on me, ask me how I was doing and everything. But he's a very wholesome, same way with Midwest. And I just now got into, talking and being friends with Fearsome Rhino as well. I actually got invited to do a video with him, but I ended up, I think something ended up happening in IRL and I couldn't make it. But I've met a lot of people along this journey. I mean, you, for instance, I've met you, AF, Midwest, Fearsome Rhino, Farmer Cop, Farm Sim Snowy. Like, I've met a couple of people along this ride, and they all just keep telling me the same thing, like consistency, perseverance, and just wanting to do it and trying not to make it, for the lack of better words, generic or bland. Like, let people know, like, you want them to engage into your content.
Exactly. No, that's fantastic. It's amazing how almost small the world feels when you start getting to interact with a lot of these people. Like you mentioned, Farmer Cop, you mentioned Fearsome Rhino, and Midwest Ag, and all these individuals who, in their own rights are well established, within the farm sim community. And being able to interact with them in one way, shape, or form, it's kind of, again, lack for a better word, humbling. And it's very cool. And it's funny you mentioned Farmer Cop, because he's actually done Farm Sim Talk, the show that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, so he was incredibly gracious with his time, and being willing to hang out for what seemed like an eternity, in a good way,
Yeah.
yeah, super nice guy. Yeah, it just was fantastic meeting him and getting to interact with him. So you had mentioned earlier how you've got a 1.5-year old and that you are engaged. You
Mhm.
also mentioned that you are, working, as a assistant manager over at the O'Reillys. So
Yep.
how is it that you come up with the proper kind of distribution of time when it comes to being, the family man, the worker in IRL, and being able to create content? How do you find that proper balance?
So let me just say it is not easy. Being a father, one father to another, like, it is not easy at all. Especially also working a full-time job, that I've been there for almost 6 years now. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but on the days that I work, I usually, I usually close, so I'll usually wake up early in the morning, and if I have a video idea and it just, like, pops right in my head as soon as I wake up, my fiance takes our 1-year-old, we usually go get our coffee made, or we go to the store real quick, get him some snacks and something to drink and all this. We'll come back and she'll sit out in the living room or in his playroom and play with him, and she'll be like, "All right, you got to go do your homework now," because that's what she calls it, is my homework. And so I'll come up here, I'll start recording a video, go to work, come home, and she'll be like, "So how much more do you have left of this video?" "Well, maybe 20, 30 minutes at the most, maybe an hour." "Okay, we'll go and go get it done." And I'll come home, I'll get it done, and then I'll start editing a little bit, and then I'll stop, and then I'll be done for the night. I'll go spend time with them, watch movies, cook dinner, hang out, give him his baths, and then we'll go to sleep. And then on my days off, like today, which worked out perfectly, for this show, other than our internet service going down for the entire night and half the day. Um, it On my days off, like today, I knew that this was going on. We've been in contact for a few days now, and I kept telling her, I was like, I really back on. I was like, because I don't want to have to reschedule this. I've been looking forward to it, And so we decided to go over to my aunt's and go swimming for 3.5, 4 hours. So it's just really hard, to be able to manage content creation with my full-time job and plus being a father, but I make it work. I have a whiteboard above my PC up against my other monitor, and there's days where I'll write down, I got to get this done. I got to have this video out by this day at this said time. I'm doing a live stream this day for this many hours, and then, but a lot of the times now I just wing it. If he's asleep and we don't really have anything to do, I'll come up here and I'll start recording the video. So I mean it's very hard and time consuming, but I've kind of gotten like a rhythm going for it all. So,
Well, it's fantastic. It
but
sounds like you got a say who understands that you're striving towards something, that you're putting in the effort, and sounds like that
oh
she
yeah,
supports it. So that's obviously a very important component of things.
yeah, she's very supportive of it. I mean, from day one when we met, I told her, I was like, look, I was like, I'm a big gamer, YouTube on the side. I was like, if that bothers you, I need to know now. If it does, I'll let everybody in the community know, like, hey, I'm not doing this no more. And she goes, no. She goes, you were doing this before we met and we got together. You're going to continue doing it after we get together. I'm like, okay. So yeah, she's been, when you hear the term she's my rock, like that is not an expression, that is literally the truth. She's my rock. And if it wasn't for her supporting me and kicking me in my butt, the days that I don't really, that I just want to be lazy and not do anything, she makes me come in here and do it. So
That's awesome. We definitely need those strong ladies behind us, backing our play and making it out to where we know we're doing the right thing, kind of thing. So that's amazing that you found somebody that's got your back in that regard. So congratulations on that.
thank you.
So do you like to travel?
Um, I've never like I've been to a lot of states here in the US, but I've never traveled outside of the United States because I'm not saying that I don't want wrong. Correction. I went to one other country and that was when it was for I guess you can call it a field trip, I guess, in school, but it was during the summer. I actually went and visited France for a week when I was younger in middle school. The school paid for everything, the housing, the dining, the tourist spots, to where we could go and see what France was like.
Wow.
So that's the only place that I've ever been to. And fun fact, my fiance is actually was born but adopted. She was actually born in Siberia, Russia,
Oh, wow.
and and her family, her mom and her adoptive parents have taken her back, throughout her life multiple times. And she said that Russia, especially Moscow, is a very beautiful place to visit.
Hmm.
So, but other than that, I've mainly only traveled in the U.S. I'm a born bred American, and I I don't really want to leave, the comforts of of my boundaries, I guess you can say, unless I necessarily have to.
I completely understand what you're saying there. If it wasn't for my wife, I'd probably would be just right in the general area where I live, and that's about it. You know, maybe go out to the Gulf every once in a while and do some fishing or whatever the case may be. But outside of that, yeah, I'm pretty much I don't want to say a homebody because I'll go out and go out into the woods and all that stuff. But you know, if it wasn't for her, I certainly wouldn't be traveling to where wherever it is that we go to. So I certainly wouldn't have
Yeah.
gone on any cruises or anything like that. But so let me ask you this: if let's say there was no object, you didn't have to worry about the expense or anything. Do you have like dream vacation, some run off, spend however long?
Um, like anywhere in the world, no, whether it's U.S. based or overseas.
It could be whatever you want. It's your dream vacation, whatever that vacation may be.
Probably Hawaii, honestly.
Okay. Anything in particular about Hawaii that kind of calls to you?
Pearl Harbor.
Oh, okay. Getting back
My
into
I
that
had
history.
Yep, grandfather, uh, father, way down the line that was on the USS Arizona, to be able to go and see like where we came, everything, Japanese bombing, war, all this stuff. Like I think it'd just be pretty cool, to go see what say, go walk out onto like I think it's like a floating like barge or like little area that you can go on. They take you out by boat. You can go walk on it, and it's right over the top of the USS Arizona.
Okay.
And I think, and also it's just now it just beautiful islands out there, man. Like I mean, I've had people, friends that have went over there, and they've said like the water there is like crystal clear and blue, and it's just beautiful. And I think that'd probably be like list as well as to go visit there and see what Hawaii's like.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So, do you make content on YouTube?
Um, I'm more or less. I mean, I watch other farm sim content creators, just to kind of get ideas, and then like kind of spin that idea in my own way. But I mean, a lot of things that I watch on YouTube are just outside of farm sim. I watch a lot of. Uh, I watched one guy. His name's Ryan. Owns a Victory Outdoor Services up in Wisconsin. I watch him, do concrete and all this stuff. I watch Seek One, which is an outdoors channel, hunting, fishing, and I watch a lot of, police activity is the name of the channel. It's called Police Activity and or police chases and stuff like that. So I watch more IRL things on YouTube now that I make content creation than I do people actually making content. But I mean, I still, like my friends, I'll watch their videos when they put them out, or if they're doing a live stream, I'll watch their live streams. Um, but other than that, I mainly just watch really IRL and other types of stuff on YouTube and IRL farming on YouTube.
I got uh, you being big into history and whatnot. There's a channel I can recommend to you called the guy goes by the name of the Fat Electrician, and he does a lot of like history recaps and stuff like that. He's a former military member. I think he was in the army, perhaps. And so a lot of his content's around military engagements and individuals throughout the wars and whatnot. But yeah, I would highly recommend him because he's little bit colorful in the language, but he's extremely entertaining and actually makes like history fun.
Okay, I'll definitely have to check them out.
Let's see. So, where am I? There it is. Uh, so what would you say inspires or motivates you, just in general in life?
Oh, um, let's see. That inspires me the most in life is my well now my again my son and my fiance. But when people tell me that I won't be able to do it, and then I get that mentality and that mindset of like, okay, well now I am going to be able to do this. So you're just adding more fuel to the fire for me to make me want to do this instead of making me want to back away from it. You're making me push towards that goal. I mean, my own father, he's like, oh well, he goes, you're 29, you need to get out of games, this and that. I love my father to death. Me and him have a really good relationship, but he does not support what I do. And so when he is like, "Well, you ain't gonna be able to do anything on that. You won't be able to make it, past this." Well, guess what? You just added fuel to the fire. You said I wouldn't ever make it past 1,000 subscribers. Here I am, less than 10 away from hitting 1,400. So when people tell me that I can't do it, you just now you're just making me prove you wrong and showing you that I can do it. So that's
Yeah.
probably the biggest motivation is when somebody looks at me and says, "You can't do that." Well, now I'm going to prove you wrong and show you that I can.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, and that's that's probably one of the best ways to look at anything really is, using that as motivation to be able to spur yourself on. And it's like, you know what, you say I can't have this, well now I'm definitely gonna have this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So tell us, what's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Um, my age, because I look younger than what I actually am. So I'm not the type of person that, my family doesn't really have, I guess, the ability to really grow facial hair. I mean, I can grow a little bit here and there. I just actually shaved off a decently good mustache that I had, and that's about as far as I can get. So when I shave that off, I look like I'm young. And then when I grow my hair out real long to where it's covering my ears, everybody thinks I'm like 19, 20 years old. But then when I cut it the same way that I've been cutting it for the past 3 years, they're like, "Are you really almost 30?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then I'll cut my hair and they're like, "Holy crap, you really are almost 30." So like I still when I go into the gas stations, when I used to drink, they'd look at me like, "Well, you're gonna get carded." I'm like, "Okay, cool, whatever, I expect it." And still to this very day, it looks like I have not aged a day since I was 18
I
until
tell
I
you,
cut my hair.
I tell you what, there's certainly worse problems to have than looking young.
Oh yeah, but yeah, a lot of people are surprised that, especially with me doing YouTube. They're like, "Oh, cool, how old are you?" 29. Oh, there's no way. Yeah, I'm 29. That's what it says on my birth certificate.
So tell me, what's the one of your biggest fears that keeps you up at night?
Something happening to my 1-year-old that I can't stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's pretty much every parent's, biggest fear is after becoming a parent is something happening to the little ones. 100% right there with you. So, do you own any pets?
Yes, I actually got 2 dogs and a cat, and my cat actually just had kittens a month ago, and they're little a little crazy bunch. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, I have 2 dogs and a cat and 6 kittens right now that I'm working to get rid of.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then let's see, if you could meet any three people, both past and present, who would they be and why?
Abraham Lincoln, because he ended slavery. Well, he abolished slavery. Um, Ozzy Osbourne, rest in peace to Ozzy. Just passed away this week. One of the biggest rock and roll people out there in history. And I'd probably have to say Keanu Reeves. Very humble, lives like he doesn't have money. Will Has donated a lot of money to charity, and shows that he really cares about the public and the way people think. And he doesn't he doesn't push out there like that he has money and he's one of the biggest and most richest actors out there in the world.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think It was either the last interview I did or the interview before that where somebody also named Keanu Reeves. And yeah, pretty much for all the same reasons that you just listed as well. It just seems like a very down to earth kind of guy. So, which is very impressive, especially considering the circles he has to exist in.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Typically, you get into Hollywood, and more often than not, you tend to kind of lose yourself, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see
And
that not everybody's susceptible to it.
and that's the one good thing I can say, about, Keanu Reeves, Adam Sandler. He's actually coming out with Happy Gilmore too. And if
Mm-hmm.
anybody's in the chat's a hip hop head, he actually got Eminem to do a part in there. I've seen a trailer on it. It's pretty funny already. So yeah, Keanu Reeves, Adam Sandler, and probably Morgan Freeman are some of like in my eyes the top three most humble actors in the world. If there's other ones out there, please be sure to let me know what you guys think. I'd be happy to agree or disagree. But yeah, that'd probably have to be my top three most humble actors in the world: Keanu Reeves, Morgan Freeman, and yeah.
So earlier we mentioned, books, movies, and whatnot, but kind of glossed over music. What kind of music are you into?
Uh, I listen to. I'm not. I'm not hating on country. Like I listen to it, but I grew up more around the hip hop era, and because of my family and the rock and roll, than more than anything. Like my mother and my on both sides of the family, they were really into country music, old, new, in the middle. So I mean, I listen to all of it, but the only music that I don't listen to is blues. I'm sorry to any blues fans out there. I just don't really like it. Jazz, I don't really like it. But other than that, I listen to pretty much anything. But I'm more of a if you were to go in my YouTube feed right now, it'd probably be 90% of it would probably be hip hop reactions of other content creators on YouTube doing reactions of music.
Okay, okay. And I think the last question I have for this segment is what was your first paying job?
I actually worked for my uncle doing construction and rehabbing. And then I got out of it. I was in high school when I was doing that, and I took what they call I went to a trade school my junior year. I got a buttload of credits from it. End up getting, so many credits that I could have completed college with almost. And then I went from there. I worked in a restaurant, and then, well, I went from doing that, graduating high school, took a year off, went and got but that was like non-taxed under the table type job. But my first actual job where I got taxed, I worked in a factory called American Woodmark where they made cabinets. And then I went from that, worked in a couple of other factories, and then I decided to go out on my own. I started doing construction, was really good at it. I done everything from roofing to flooring to drywall, vinyl, carpet, plumbing, electrical work, the whole nine yards, painting all of it. And then I stopped doing that because let's just say they were the people that I contracted my services out to, they were messing with my checks and I didn't take too kindly to it. So I quit and then I went and applied at O'Reilly for almost 6 years.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right. Well, like I said, that was the last question I had for this segment. So now let's go ahead and turn to the audience and see what they have to ask. So, first off, before we do that, I want to give a big shout out to Lonnie the Milwaukee Road. Thank you so much, Lonnie, for becoming a channel member. Greatly appreciate it. So, let's see. I have been getting messages in the background from Brady Rimmer Productions. Brady, thank you so much for collecting these questions for me. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. First one we got is from Jody. Jody asks, which version did you start playing on? So I'm pretty sure he's asking which version of FS did you start playing on, and you established that was FS 19, correct?
Yes, FS19.
Excellent, excellent. Jody, thank you so much for your question. We got one from Rail Fanning Jonah. Says, ice fishing, what bait do you use to catch ice? Because it's hot outside. LOL.
Well, that's actually a good question. You really can't ice fish during the summer, but it's pretty funny. But the type of bait that I use when I ice fish during the winter, believe it or not, crappie, they move regardless. So I use artificial bait. I don't use worms or leeches or anything like that. You know, I'm not a big cat fishing person. I've done it, very fun, but I use, artificial bait like lures and um they look green like little green baits that you put on a oh what I lost the terminology for it, but it's looks like it has already like a built-in sinker on it and you just put the bait on there, but that's what I use when I go ice fishing.
Gotcha, gotcha. And you mentioned catfishing. One of the previous interviews here recently was also with somebody who is big into fishing, and I had asked them, had they ever done the oh my goodness, where you go around
Noodling?
noodling? Thank you. Yes.
Yes, I actually have. And let me just say it hurts. It hurts.
So, okay, so I always wanted to talk to somebody who has actually done this. So tell me, what was going through your mind when you're like, yeah, let's do this?
Well, um, so the reason why I wanted to try noodling is because I don't know if anybody's ever heard of her name is I think it's like Hannah Barron or something like that on YouTube. She's like I think in like from like Louisiana or something like that. I couldn't remember. I really can't remember. But she done. I was like, oh, that looks fun. Like who in the right mind would want to try that? Well, if she can do it, I can do it. And so I went and done it. And pretty much what you do is you take your arm and you shove it in a hole in a river, on the side of the bank or whatever, and you shove it in this hole and you let this catfish of whatever size just swim over your arm and just bite down on it. And then you yank them out of the water and you grab them behind their cattails through their gills, and then you pull them up out of the water. And it hurts. I mean, my arm was bruised there for a while, but it was when I was doing it, I was like, Cole, what are you doing? You're an idiot. What are you doing? You know something. You're already this far. You're invested. Just go for it. And so I just went for it. But it does hurt. But it's once in a lifetime experience. Like if you never tried it, don't ever let stuff like that like shy you away from trying something new. Just I have a very high pain tolerance, and it hurt. I bled there for a little bit, but it was very fun.
So, me personally, that's not something that I would ever go and do. I value being on top of the food chain, so it's one of those using my body as the kind of, I don't know, the lure. Just not high on my priority list, but you know what? To each their own. I have no problems with that whatsoever.
Yeah, it was. Would I ever do it again? No, but for the experience, I done it. I mean, you only live once, so I try to do as many fun things in my life. The only thing I know I'm going to get some heat for this. I'm sorry, guys, but the only thing that you will never see me get on is a roller coaster, ever. I am
Really?
back to when you asked me what's the one thing that like scares me or whatever, other than stuff happening to my child, is roller coasters. I mean, Final Destination type stuff. I've seen videos where I know they're very well built, but I just don't like the fact of going on a roller coaster and sitting there hoping that one of the tires on the tracks just doesn't go flying off, and next thing you know, I'm getting flung 80 feet out of the air. But this is coming from a person that will say, "Oh, you want to go skydiving? Sure, let's go."
So you're
I'm
you're
just
cool you're cool with the skydiving, but not with the roller coasters.
yes, because this this is going to sound a little cliche, I guess, but if I'm if I get flung off of a roller coaster, there's a good chance that I'm going to live to see another day depending on how I land. But if my parachute malfunctions, from God knows how high up, I'm going to have something else happen to me before I even make it to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't feel it. But that's how I look at it. But yeah, I will never. Now I know, being a father, when my son gets older, he's gonna want to go on roller coasters, and he'll be like, "Come on, Daddy, let's." I'll have no choice but to go on there. But I can tell you now, I will petrified. I will be scared like no other. But for my boy, I will do it, just to show him like, hey, your dad will do it, even though he's scared of it. He's still going to do it with you.
It's amazing what we as parents will do for our kids, full knowing that it's the experience that we want to give for them that we
Hmm.
may ourselves just absolutely hate. It's
Yep.
it's wild. It's absolutely wild. And it's funny that you bring up roller coasters because I'm not opposed to roller coasters per se, but it's just one of those where I recently had an experience that was quite terrifying. So down here in Florida, there's a amusement park called Busch Gardens, and in Busch Gardens, there's this kind of I forget what it's called, the ride itself, but essentially it's a seat, right? You just kind of sit down and you kind of let your feet dangle in the air and all that stuff, and you got the shoulder harness and all that stuff. Well, this was the first time I'd gone to an amusement park after getting bariatric surgery. And after that, I'd been at my lowest weight that I'd ever been, post surgery and all that. And decided, okay, we're going to go on this particular ride. And this ride, it's a seat, like I mentioned, and it raises you up, like straight up in the air with your just feet, you're just dangling like that. And then all of a sudden, what it does is that the seat will go from you facing out, directly, to all of a sudden that whole seat kind of swings back, and then you're looking straight down.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and you're just dangling there. And then eventually the whole mechanism just lets you free fall, like come to basically a straight drop, and then eventually it'll start slowing you down and your seats will swing back out to where you're again looking straight out. Now, even though I had lost a whole bunch of weight, I still have like a big barrel chest. Like I'm a big dude kind of thing. So my upper half is, you rather bulky, but my lower half is quite small kind of thing. So it was one of those where as I'm sitting there, they had the shoulder, like I mentioned, the shoulder strap or the harness that goes over top of you and just kind of presses down on your sternum. And then they have this little like tether that goes in between your legs kind of thing. So I didn't realize when I got onto this ride that that's what this thing does, is that it will swing you back kind of thing. I just wasn't paying attention. I just saw that it just drops you straight down kind of thing, and I just assumed. Well, I'm sitting there and all of a sudden it starts kicking me back, and the only thing that's holding me in place is my chest at this point, and I'm holding on for dear life. All I'm feeling is my whole lower half just dangling, and I am death gripping because it has these little handles on this shoulder strap. But while I'm feeling my whole bottom half just kind of wiggling freely because now nothing's there besides this little piece of cloth, that's connected to the seat, I'm sitting there losing it. I am freaking out. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna just slip right out of this thing, and I'm gonna go falling to my death. 100 feet in the air. My wife's gonna see it because she's right here next to me. It was the most terrifying experience I think I'd ever felt in my entire life, because I felt like there was absolutely no control at that point whatsoever. And then eventually the whole mechanism just let you go. And as soon as that happened, my whole lower half, my my butt goes and it just sinks right into the seat itself, kind of thing. Because you're now free falling, but the whole contraption is like almost forcing you into the seat back. Oh,
Uh-huh.
it was absolutely terrifying. I from that point on probably will never get on another roller coaster as long as I live, because yeah, that that one was too much for me.
Yeah, that'd be a little crazy.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's go back to the chat there and see what everyone's asking here. So we got AF Farm says, "What is your favorite fish to catch?"
Crappie or walleye, hands down. Good eating, and they put up a good fight, especially the walleye. I don't know if anybody's ever caught them or if they are where you live at, but they are very fun to fight. They Have you ever seen fish other than like saltwater fish have teeth like in freshwater? They have It kind of reminds me of like kitten teeth, but they are razor sharp. So I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
they get a hold of your arm, it's going to do some serious damage. But they are very fun and they taste mighty delicious, if I may add.
Oh, walleye is absolutely delicious, and you're right. They are a ton of fun to catch. When you get one on the hook, you know instantly what you got.
Yeah. So I know you said you were previously from Michigan and you moved to Florida. This is a question for you.
All right.
Have you ever heard of a fish called wiper?
A wiper?
Yes.
No, I have not.
So picture a bass and a walleye like in one. They are like very big and have like obviously, with you fishing down in the Gulf, you've seen how like fish makes like these wakes, like kind of like a wave coming towards you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what these do. And the first time I've ever fished for them, we were on this little John boat, itty bitty little thing with like a little trolley motor on the back of it. And my buddy hooked onto one of them, and as he was reeling it in, it surfaced up to the top of the water, and you just seen this wake just in front of it, like a good 7-inch wave just coming right towards the boat. And it's kind of like the northern pike. When they put up a fight, they put up a fight, but they're very fun.
Wow, that is like borderline terrifying. You're just sitting there, just kind of doing your thing, and all of a sudden you got this wake just kind of coming right
Yeah.
for you. That's
Yep.
like that's like oh goodness, what's that? Like deep blue sea kind of stuff going on there.
Oh yeah.
Air Farms, thank you so much for your question. Greatly appreciate it. We got one from Brady Rimmer asks, what is your favorite farm sim map?
Ooh. Okay, so if we're talking like of all time since I've started playing Farm Sim, it would probably have to be either what's the new one that I've either Ray County, Missouri, or what's the new or Bronzewood, Georgia, made by Delta South. Those are probably my two top favorite Farm Sim maps that I've played on in FS25. FS22 would have to be Tahiti County. And the first map I ever started playing on was on FS19 was No Man's Land. So I have a couple, but my all-time favorite right now would probably have to be Ray County, Missouri.
Gosh, I see. It's funny. None of these I've ever heard of before. Are these like supported by third parties or?
Yes, Delta South Modding made Bronzewood, Georgia, and also the map that I've done a series on with AF Midwest and a couple of other guys. I can't remember the name of that map, but Yeah, they're all made by third party people, and they're very fun to play on.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, I have yet to experiment in the third party world up until this point. So it's one of those that doesn't shock me as to why I haven't heard of it. Brady, again,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your question. Greatly appreciate it. We got one from Majors Gaming. Majors, thank you so much for your question. He asks, "What's the one movie you can watch over and over again and just can't get enough of?"
Uh Either Olympus Has Fallen or Saving Private Ryan.
Great movies. Absolutely great movies. Majors, thank you again so much for your question. We got another one here from AF Farms. Asks, "Who is your favorite modder?"
Farm Hub Modding, Midwest Ag. Good friend. I watched him make a lot of mods from scratch. The Gleaner that he worked on and that he made that he was trying to get put on Mod Hub. I watched this man work tirelessly multiple days in a row, and when I mean days, I mean weeks. And I watched him every little detail that he done. He like all the bolts, the hopper, everything. Like so, he'd have to probably be one of my top favorite modders of mods that have been released. And I don't really follow the modding side as much. I just if somebody tells me, "Hey, you should go check out this modder," they make pretty good mods. I'll go check them out. But other than that, I really don't follow the modding side of the community for Farm Sim as much as I do the content creation side of Farm Sim.
Gotcha. Again, AF, thank you so much for your question. We got one from Ray. Ooh, De Los Santos. I hope I pronounced
Ooh,
that right there, Ray. Ask, does Cole Farms remember me?
Mr. Ray De Los Santos. Of course, I remember him every time he comes into my streams. We usually talk about NASCAR. How the races went, because usually I try to stream on either a Thursday or a Saturday if I'm able to. And usually he'll pop in and he'll hang out for a while, and we'll talk NASCAR, and he'll let me know who won, the race before that and everything like that. But of course, I remember Ray. He's been around for a while. He tunes into every stream. He's watched almost every video that I put out since he came into the Cole Farms community, and he's been a very supportive subscriber of the channel.
That's fantastic. Big shout out to Ray. Thank you so much for your question there, Ray. We got another one here from Samuel. Samuel asks, "What do you like the NFL or the NCAA college football?"
Uh, I I prefer NFL over college, just because I'm not a big college person. I don't watch the NFL anymore like I used to, but I still, I keep up on highlights of, basketball, baseball, football, anything really to do with sports. But as far as hockey and uh, soccer and NCAA, I don't watch that. I don't follow it at all just because it doesn't pique my interest.
My heart hurts.
I'm sorry, but yeah,
That's okay.
I'm not a big college person.
So who's your team for the NFL?
Well, nowadays would probably have to be the 49ers, but when I was younger, it'd be my home state, when they had the good people on there, Indianapolis Colts when they had Manning, Harrison, McAfee, Reggie Wayne, you know, um, and all them other, all the OGs when they were on the Colts. I watched them. I'd rooted for them. Because they were the hometown heroes here for football. And but other than that, nowadays with the way sports is changing and all the new people coming out, I follow, whatever team I've watched before, which would be the San Francisco 49ers.
That's kind of an interesting team of choice there. Is there a particular reason why you kind of been following them?
No, uh, yeah, because of my IRL best friend, he's more or less my brother. Um, he's been a big 49ers fan, and he's like, dude, he goes, you've got to watch the 49ers game. He goes, they have a really solid team. He's been telling me that for years, and so finally, when we'd watch football together, I'd he'd turn on the 49ers game, and I'd sit there and I'd watch them. I'm like, you aren't lying, dude. Like they have a really good team, and when they put in the effort to make their team something whole, like the the camaraderie and the way like they can just look at each other and know what's coming or what plays being made and everything like that is just unbelievable.
Gotcha, gotcha. I played football, back in like high school and all that stuff, but wasn't one that I really got into like watching in like the NFL, the NCAA or anything like that. So it was my sport choices is hockey. So it's one of those I grew up with it and just haven't looked back since. But yeah, yeah, that's why my heart hurt just a little bit when you said that. All right. So again, thank you all so much for sending in your questions. If you have any more, go ahead and put them in the chat. Make sure you put in at least 2 question marks. That makes it a little bit easier for us to find them throughout the stream. And again, Brady, thank you so much for helping to collect them and sending them over my way. Now we're going to move into our second segment here called Meat and Potatoes, emphasis on potatoes. This is where we're going to get to know you for more of your content creation side of things here in the farming simulator space. So, first question I have is in regards to your channel name, Cole Farms. Is it anything in particular in regards to the channel name, or like is it just as simple as, hey, my name plus farms?
My last name is Cole, and I couldn't find anything that would go along with it. So I was like, you know something, I'm just gonna slap farms on the end of the name and just call it quits. And so far, it's worked out in my favor. I mean, I haven't had to rebrand the channel or anything like that. So, but yeah, that's how I came about having the name Cole is because my last name is Cole, and everybody that I know on my spectrum, a lot of my family, they don't call me by my first name. They either call me Cole or by my middle name. And all my friends on Discord, they know me by Cole. So that's how the name came about is Cole Farms, and it just stuck.
I gotcha. I mean, oftentimes you get these channel names that are as farmer Mike or farmer this or farmer that, like you get all these kind of like generic ones, but I still ask that question because I've had it several times now where I'm like, okay, well, what's the story behind your channel name? Is it something as simple as your first name and farmer or whatever? And I've literally had it several times where people are like, oh no, it's like just a name of my second cousin, 3 times removed, and like all this, like it's like, okay, I mean that's great. At least it's not like just something that like there's a story behind it, and that's why I always ask, is there tends to be about 50% of the time something more than just, hey, it's my name plus this kind of thing. So, and even if it is just the name plus this, it is what it is. It's not a big deal. So, do you currently only produce farming simulator content, or do you produce other types of content as well?
Like when we were talking earlier before the show started, on this channel I do strictly farm sim content only. Brady is a very good friend of mine. I've talked to him a lot and VCs and through Discord messages and all this stuff, but I do have another channel. It's called That Guy Cole, where it's going to be a realm of content. It's just going to be a channel to where I can just be myself and, like kind of let my guard down a little bit and not really care what I'm saying and having to watch my P's and Q's type thing, to where I can just put out any type of game other than farm sim content. This channel right here is directly dedicated to farm sim. it's grown my channel in the last year and a half from Farm Sim, but that other channel is just it's going to be 5M, um, Once Human, maybe even some Call of Duty stuff here and there. So it's just going to be a long list of things to be able to go into that channel.
Very nice. That's awesome. So, what's one thing that you never expected when you started your channel? And some examples that I give are the sense of community, any kind of unexpected backlash, things like that. What are some things that you just never expected to happen?
Mm. Well, one would have to be how motivated and friendly the community is, and meeting all the people that I've met so far along this journey. Like I never thought of, being able to meet, people that have 40,000 plus subscribers or even 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people, like it's just the sense of, finding a community that is down to earth, willing to help other content creators, like, and the retract back, to like the shout out thing, Brady is a big part of that as well. I met Brady. He just happened to come across my channel one day. Me and him were sitting there chit chatting, and me and him became friends. And every time I streams, he'd tell people, "Hey, go check out Cole's channel. He makes really good content." So thank you, Brady, for that as well. But it's just finding down to earth people that are willing to help other people, whether they have a higher stature or a lower stature than everybody else.
Yeah, 100%. The sense of community that's in the farm sim space is, I will say it's unrivaled by anything out there. I've never seen a community of people where, regardless of where you're at in your journey, whether it's, if you're a content creator, modder, map maker, whatever the case may be, that so many people are willing to come together as a community to help out in one way, shape, or form. It's almost overwhelming to see
Yeah,
just how willing people are to help. It's really breathtaking. It's very cool. Very, very cool.
I agree.
So, would you consider Farm Sim to be one of your favorite games? And if not, what would be your favorite game?
Mm, it's it's in it's in my top 3. Like it's definitely one of my favorites. I never, thought that I'd ever be playing a farming game, but I definitely enjoy it, just because the wide variety of things that you can do on there, just from farming to gold, like RPing that you run in a gold mine, doing a landscaping series or a public works series, and these are all videos that I've watched other people make, like Fearsome Rhino, him and Midwest done a gold claim series together. And I actually got invited to do that. I've done one video with Weston, and it was I had the time of my life. And then, I have a series going on right now. It's a landscaping business, where I start on Riverbend Springs. I got to work my way up to being able to go to another map, that has multiple other houses and be able to expand my business empire on that. So, I mean, it's just being able to have if you have the imagination to do something on a video game, that'd be a very good one. Like for Farm Sim as a whole, because you have a wide variety of things that you can do on it.
So, one of the things that I've noticed from doing this show here is that there tends to be very oftentimes a kind of deep connection with the individuals that I'm interviewing to the world of farming, kind of as a whole. So, for an example, like I grew up out in the country, for the first like 20 years of my life, kind of thing, where my grandparents owned a farm, so I've got that kind of connection, and it makes it kind of seem easy to be able to make that transition to the virtual farming simulator kind of thing. I've got that
Mhm.
connection. Do you have that kind of connection where, did you grow up out in the country kind of thing and you saw tractors all the time, just like me, and thus, getting into the farming simulator just seemed like a kind of a natural push? Or how did you come about, the whole, hey, here's Farming Simulator, now I'm into it now?
Well, I'm in the Midwest region, so like of Indiana, and I could go out my doorstep, get in my car, drive 4.5, 5 blocks away in the city that I live in, and I see 5 fields. I drive 2.5 miles the opposite direction, I got a case dealership. When I was younger, when I'd go down in Florida, my aunt's ex-boyfriend's parents had a couple hundred acres down there, that farm, I was real young. I've been around it. When I was younger, and my cousin lived in a town called LaPel, Indiana. Lived out in the country, and when I was younger, we actually would go. The farmer that was leasing the field behind their house, I'd go out there, during the summer, help him do stuff. During the fall, when I was on fall break, I'd go help him, and he'd pay me a little bit of money for helping him. So it kind of came naturally, to be able to do this. But I didn't know, like certain terminology. I learned other people that have actually farmed in real life. For example, AF, his family owns a farm down where he lives at, and whenever like I got used to saying headlands, and he'd be like, "Well, I'm gonna go cut end rows." What the heck are end rows? He goes, "The edges of the field." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then there was one day we were doing something in a video, and he's cut a land, and after the video was over, I was like, "What the heck's a land?" He goes, "That's when you go up and down the field long ways." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so, like certain terminology, certain things I didn't know about it, but I've learned, just from being around, people that farm in real life, AF, Midwest Ag, you know, they've taught me things that I never knew about farming that I now know about farming, whether it be virtually or in real life.
So during your like your gameplay, your content creation, and all that stuff, what style of content do you create? Do you try to stick to a more kind of like real kind of simulator kind of experience, or do you kind of take some liberties here and there, kind of going in between kind of a kind of a free for all kind of standard and a simulator, or do you just go full blown like I'm gonna just get the job done kind of thing? What
Well,
style
we
do you go with?
I'm so we do a lot of like on my channel, you'll find a lot of role playing aspect, as in we're trying to portray something that we do in real life, whether it be, from cultivation to harvesting to laying down fertilizer. We try to deepen, that connection with people and make it seem more realistic. There's times where, we'll go have fun, like we'll do something for the fun of it. I think one of my biggest videos still to this date is a camping trip that I done with Midwest on FS22, where he was doing a series on Nebraska map, and we just portrayed that we just harvested, a couple thousand acres of corn, and we decided to go on a fishing camping trip, well, fishing, hunting, camping trip that following weekend, and we just went and had fun with it. We rode 8 4-wheelers, well, more or less UTVs, dirt bikes. We just had fun with it. Sometimes, we'll have fun with the stuff that we're doing within the video, or be real life or not, because you can't. In my eyes, the way I look at it is you can't make everything 100%, and you can't make it always be real. Is how I look at it.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then you started to kind of walk us through like your average day. You mentioned how you tend to work in the evenings. Like walk us through like a typical day where you're gonna create your content and then kind of wrap us through the entirety of the day. How do you start and how do you finish?
Well, I start, by like everybody else. I wake up and I scour, YouTube. after, I get my coffee and all this stuff, I scour YouTube to see what's, hitting and what's missing on the aspect of farm sim. And then I'll jot down some ideas on a notepad that I have on my desk, and I'm thinking, okay, well, how can I take either one thing or all of these things and just make them make sense and combine them into one video? And then when I get the idea, I just jump in and I get everything set up for the recording. I make sure my audio is good, the game audio is good, my mic audio's where I want it, and then I'll just go into it. I'll start explaining what I'm going to do for the day, within the video and on the farm, and then I'll start doing everything like that. And then closely when I get to wrapping up the video or when I'm done for the day, I'll kind of dial it down a little bit. I won't make it, how can I put it? I won't go into depth when I'm about to end the video as I did when I first started the video. Just to where people know, like, hey, I'm wrapping it up. This is gonna be the video. There's not really gonna be much more going on here. And then after I get off from doing the video and everything like that, I'll go through and I'll listen to it, make sure all my audio was good. And then if it wasn't, or something messed up on the video, I will go back through to a prior save and I will redo the video again until it's the way that I want it. And then after I get done with that, by the time I get done with that, it's probably roughly about either lunchtime or dinner time. I'll cook, eat, start editing while I'm eating, and then that wraps up my day. And then I'll get my son put down to go to sleep, and then I'll hit the sheets myself.
So, how much of your day would you say consists of making content, like hour wise?
Like, as in just recording or also editing?
Uh, yeah, let's say both.
Both roughly, well, as far as recording, roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours of my day just to record. And if I know how I want the video to go, as far as editing wise, maybe another 45 minutes to an hour. But there's typically a lot of times where we'll record and we'll record for 2-3 hours straight. And then it'll take me consecutive days to edit this video just to get it put out. But on a good day, maybe 2.5 hours to 3 hours is what I spend usually on content creation.
Okay, okay. And earlier we mentioned some of your favorite maps. You threw out Ray County as one of them. Do you have any that you would consider your least favorite?
Ooh, probably probably so I was very hyped that, they were bringing rice farming to FS25, and I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but probably my least favorite map would have to be the Asian map that they brought out to FS25, just because I don't like how it's laid out. And I know they're trying to portray something, over in Asia, but that'd probably have to be my least favorite map.
So, you're referring to Hutan Pantai. Um,
Yes.
have you seen the kind of reimagining map they did? I think it was called Settlers.
No, I have not actually.
So basically, think Hutan Pantai, but just completely modified with the kind of layout and structure of the map itself. Like the fields are in different locations, different shapes, different sizes, different farms. It's really made for like a multiplayer kind of series because I think there's like 8 or so different farms all strewn about the entirety of the map. I mean, you should check it out. I mean, because it might be one of those where it could honestly it could redeem the map. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, no, that's like a far superior version." Essentially, you know how Giants came out with Silver Run Forest for FS25. Here, it was
Yes.
probably about 2 months ish ago. Um, somebody else made a reimagining of Silver Run Forest, very similar to this other one. I think it was called Agro Forest. Very much kind of the same thing to where it's just kind of reimagined different fields or in different locations, or they're like laid out differently and all that stuff. Like I said, check them out because it might give you a wholly different opinion as to the layout of that map, because it's
Okay.
for the most part the like road structure is the same, but just the kind of way that things are just placed around the map is drastically different.
I'll definitely have to check them out.
So, if you could pick any map throughout all of Farming Simulator history that you've played on, what's that one map that you would want to just be able to snap your fingers and poof, it's there in FS25?
To Heaton County.
Gotcha. And then that's another third party supported?
I believe so.
Gotcha.
I
Gotcha.
know it was third party when I played on it, and then they brought it actually. It got released on the Mod Hub, I believe. I could be wrong, so if anybody in your chat wants to correct me on that, feel free to do so. But definitely to Heaton County. But I'm leaning more toward third party map that somebody made.
I gotcha. And then, do you pay any attention to like news that's coming out for Farm Sim in regards to like maps, mods, things like that?
Uh, not really. I just if I happen to go across YouTube and I see somebody talking about something that's coming out to Farm Sim 25, I'll be like, okay, like I'll watch the video and I'll check it out. I'll see what it's about. But on that, I really don't pay much attention into what's coming out, just because I want because I've noticed a lot of people hype things up more than what it's meant to be, and then when it comes to FS25, it's nothing like what they hyped it up to be. So I just want to be able to, if I see something, I want to be able to check it out myself and then be like, okay, well, that it's great or it's not what I was hoping for. So yeah, I don't really pay attention to the FS news type of stuff.
Okay. The reason I asked is I was going to see if there was any kind of map or anything like that you're aware of that you're kind of excited to get released.
With me being out of action for the last month, I haven't really looked at anything farm sim related. So I mean, obviously that's going to change, with this interview and well, with this show and I made a post on my community page and everything like that I'm going to get back into the realm of creating content again, just because I've had multiple people reach out and ask me what happened, like if something happened to me or whatever. I just want everybody out there to know I'm fine. I was just spending time with I was being a family man, I was being a father, and obviously, Dave, you know how that is, just taking time away, to spend with your family and to spend with your child and everything like that. So, but I'm definitely going to starting either tonight or tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'm going to get back into getting videos made. I actually have two, I believe, already locked and loaded. I just got to finish editing them and then they'll be released. I just got to get thumbnails for them.
Excellent, excellent. The triumphant return after a small hiatus. I'd love to hear it. So before FS25 released, the Giants was telling us all sorts of different information in regards to all the features and all the stuff to kind of look out for when they were hyping it up and whatnot. And they were
Mhm.
telling us things such as like the God rays, the ground deformation, the like all those different like little features, the twisters and hail and all that stuff. That hey, this is all the stuff we're going to be bringing to FS25. Was there a feature that you just saw and it's like, ooh, I want this game because of this. This is something I'm excited for.
The the ground deformation is a big one, and also the the weather, the twisters and the crop damage and from hail and all this stuff. Like I really enjoyed it. And when I seen that, that's what sold me on this game is just those two things right there. And also the graphics are, in my opinion, are really, really good.
And then thinking of those features like we were talking about before, was there one that you were excited for initially, but then after getting a hold of the game, you just kind of soured on?
The hell damage, if you want me to be completely honest, because especially now with precision farming being out there, like you thought, oh, I'm gonna get this good yield, or actually, I'd have to say both the hell damage and the tornadoes. Just because like you thought, oh, I'm gonna get this good yield, yada yada yada, and then all of a sudden you get a twister that rips through your entire farm and takes out half your field, and now you're just down to half a field, quarter of a field that you got to try to make so much money. Like that's that realism and that role play aspect coming out in me. But other than that, like I don't hate the features. I really enjoy them, especially, for like the realism RP aspect of things, because it broadens people's horizon and their imagination on what they can do within the game.
And what's one thing that's not in Farming Simulator that you really wish was there?
Well, if you would ask me, I don't know if it's out yet, but I could be wrong. Again, if your chat wants to correct me on this, they can. Um, the easy dev controls, where you had like the little menu in FS22, where you could set different things to like certain points, or like if you wanted to fill something up, you could, or whatever. But as a whole, easy development controls. From what I heard 3.5, 4 weeks ago, more or less a month ago, that they brought easy dev controls to FS25, but then again, I haven't paid attention, so I'm just gonna have to say easy dev controls for sure, or
So,
also interactive controls as well with the trailers and stuff.
so Easy Dev is in the game. I recently made the upgrade to PC, so that's one of the things I went and grabbed right away was Easy Dev. Yeah, being able to port in money or being able to fill trailers and all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
big difference, especially for a content creator like you and I.
no, for sure.
So, what style of map do you tend to prefer to be on? Do you prefer like the kind of more wide open kind of American style of maps, or do you prefer like a kind of more tight, compact, almost like a UK style of map?
I'm gonna have to say more of a US style base map, just because there's more room to move around. I don't have like if I want to drive with a 20-foot header on the front of my harvester, I can. I don't really have to worry about hitting anything. But I've played on some of the like UK based tight maps, but I definitely have to say US based open and everything like that.
And what style of farming do you prefer to do? Do you prefer to do like arable works where you're working your grains and whatnot, forestry, grass care? What's your favorite one to do?
Probably would have to be like arable grain and all that stuff. Just because of where I come from, around where I live at, I have again I could drive 5-10 minutes away and find a dairy farm. I could drive 15-20 minutes the opposite direction and find a chicken farm, or even like just anything to do with grain. It really piques my interest. But I mean, with FS25, I do it all, for just content creation related purposes. But I definitely have to say arable and grain and everything.
So with you doing your role play content, one of the things that I find is that it's hard to integrate the kind of contract system into the kind of gameplay aspect that we as content creators are doing. It can be done, but it's one of those where it's not as straightforward as just okay, here I'm just playing the game and now I'm just needing to earn some money. Do you
Mhm.
incorporate the contract system into your content, or do you kind of just ignore it?
Uh, lately, with me recording with everybody else, we've kind of just ignored it, and we just sell the grain, whether it be our soybeans or wheat or corn at like the highest price. But I've done it to where if there were like different businesses on the map where I'd look at the end game price and then I'd actually go so in depth that I'd look at an IRL price and then I'd try to, kind of mediate the two prices together and just be like, okay, well, this company said they're going to give me this much for this many liters of corn. Or back in FS22 when we had bushels per acre, they'd give me this much money for this many bushels of corn or beans or whatever like that. So I've done both, but lately I've just kind of ignored all that and I've just sold the grain at the highest price.
So, thinking of the contract system, what is your most and least favorite job to do from the contracts?
Um, Hauling the grain to the said contract location. Just because I'm more of the person that wants to get out in the field and just do everything just to do the work for it. And I know hauling, it's a big portion of that. But if it was up to me, I'd just rather just harvest it and just let somebody else, drive the grain to wherever it's going to be able to be sold.
Okay, I gotcha. And then, as a content creator, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's looking to start in this field?
Uh, don't give up. Be passionate about what you're doing and make sure like that you're making content that people can relate to or they are just in awe of what you're doing. And be sure to ask questions within the farm sim community on how people do certain things because and also along with that consistency. If you don't have consistency, like I've seen people where they can upload one video a week and they're just booming off the charts like crazy. And then I've seen other people where they upload a video every single day and they're not doing as well as what they wanted to be doing. The way that I try to do mine is I try to have 2 videos out a week and at least 1 live stream a week to where I keep that consistent basis of, okay, well, they know they're getting 2 videos this week, they're going to get 2 videos next week, and they're going to get a live stream each week. That'd probably be the biggest advice that I can give people is consistency. Don't be afraid to ask questions because there's no such thing as a stupid question when it comes to content creation. And don't be focused on getting subscribers. Just be focused on the quality of your content and not quantity of your content.
Gotcha. And what would you say has been your most memorable moment of your content creation career so far?
Um, getting, getting to meet Midwest and work with him, he's helped grow the channel a lot. And also getting rated by Farmer Cop himself would probably have to be the two most memorable moments of me doing YouTube right now.
And can you tell us what your one of your favorite mods would be?
Ooh, that's a good one. Uh, well, let me, since I am here at my PC, I can't remember what it's called, but I can look it up here real quick. One of my top favorite mods that would have to be that came out for FS25 would have to be Midwest Case IH 4600 Vibrashank cultivator, just because it gives you that aspect of if you're doing whether you're doing big scale farming or you're doing start from scratch series or like small scale farming, you have enough coverage with that cultivator to be able to do what you need to do with it. So that'd probably be one of my top favorite mods.
Okay. And there any creator out there that inspired you to start your channel, or was it just kind of, I'm just gonna do it?
If we're talking in the farm sim community, Farmer Cop was a big part of that. You know, he inspired me because I seen him playing FS9, well, FS22 actually, and I was like, that looks fun. And I ended up coming across FS19. I caught it on sale. I bought it, and then so he definitely inspired me to start, you know, the farm sim aspect of things. But as far as my channel as a whole, when I first started it, I just started it just to have something to do on the side.
Excellent, excellent. And the last question I have for this segment is, if you had the ability to make a map of someplace in real life, so you had all the prerequisite knowledge, you knew exactly how the like Giants editor worked, the coding, the whole nine yards. You skills wasn't the issue. Where would that map be based off of, and why?
Probably around where I live at, here in Indiana, just because there's small fields, big fields. You know, the layouts aren't, you know, the layouts aren't all the same. You have some that are squared. You have some that are like jagged edges. They're rounded. They're in different shapes and sizes, and just the layout of where I live at and the fields the way they are. You know, you have triangle fields, you have square fields, you have I can't say circle fields because that's down in like Nebraska area, Montana, but just the way the fields are made here where I live at is just a big thing because I'm the type of person I don't like square fields. I want to be able to have that challenge of having to go around, you know, multiple curves or angles where they come to a point and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you. All right. Well, like I said, that is the last question I have for this segment. So I'm going to kick it back to the audience and see if there's any more questions. And it does look like we have a couple. So starting out with Samuel. Samuel, again, thank you so much for your question. It says, uh, let's see. So wants to know what platform you play on. Do you play on a console or on a PC Mac?
I play on a PC.
Excellent, excellent. Again, Samuel, thank you so much for your question. And we got one more from Brady. Brady says, not a question, but Cole, we still got to get together and do the collaboration like we have talked about.
Yes, for sure. Just message me, Brady, on Discord, and we'll talk out the details.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I don't see any more questions from the chat. So I think we can move on to our third and final segment here. It is called That's a Silage Wrap. This is where we're going to start closing things out. And first off, I want to thank you, Cole, for stopping by here tonight, being a guest on the show. Had an absolute blast with you here tonight. So thank you very much for stopping in.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been fun.
Oh, it was my pleasure, 100%. So, do you have any future plans or projects that you want to let us know about?
Yeah. I'm well. So this is a big thing. I've been in the works of it, and it's a big milestone for my channel as a whole. I just got accepted into the partnership program for G Portal. I'm working out the details with them right now on when to get everything set up, and I'm going to be starting up a series on there. I will let everybody know if you're not in my Discord. I will just look at it in any of my videos. There, you can feel free to join the Discord. But I'm going to possibly start a gold mining series. If anybody on PC wants to join, feel free just to DM me or join the Discord and let me know about it. But that's going to be a couple of weeks out. I have a landscaping video that'll be coming out the beginning of this coming up week, and then I have another video that is almost done and edited that'll be coming out next week as well on Kruger, Mississippi from the Last Chance series that I've done with AF Midwest and Poppings.
Awesome, awesome. Well, congratulations on the partnership with G Portal. That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Can you remind us where we can go and find you at?
Yeah, you can find me at Cole Farms on YouTube and also Cole Farms on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, again, I want to thank you again for coming out and hanging out with us tonight and answering all of our questions. And this is the point of the or the part of the interview or the show where I turn to the audience and I say, "Hey, did you enjoy what you saw here tonight? If you did, let me know who else I can talk to. Let me know who your favorite content creator, who your favorite mapper, who your favorite mod maker is, whoever they are, and however they are connected within the world of Farming Simulator. Just let me know. Let me know, and I will do my absolute best to be able to get them onto the show for a future interview. Or if you are a like I said, content creator, map maker, modder, whatever the case may be, if you are interested in being a part of this show, being a guest on it, go ahead and reach out to me directly. You can see I've got my Instagram, Facebook, X, Discord, whatever the case may be. Reach out to me directly and I will do my best to get you onto the show. And yeah, like I said, I hope everybody here had an absolute blast here tonight, because I know I certainly did. Cole, thank you again so much for stopping by. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. I'm going to play out our outro here in a second. And then if you'd hang on for just a second there, Cole, I'll catch you on the other side of it.
Yep, sounds good.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks everybody for stopping in tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please show them by liking, sharing, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all the things the algorithms enjoy you doing. The shows you're engaged with this channel, enjoying the content. And that being said, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Take care.
This is Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Let's roll. Out here in the country, where the roads run wide, there's a world behind the pixels that we're bringing to the light. From maps to mods, to the rigs we drive, we're talking to the folks who keep this farm life alive. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. He's got questions rolling like a big John Deere, digging deep with modders so their voices we can hear. From giants of the code to the artists painting skies, he's shining up their stories like a brand new combine. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. From tractors to textures, from silos to sounds, there's a whole crew of heroes making this world go round. So tune in and find out who's behind the screen. Farm Sim Talk's the place to see what farming really means. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull